Hi, this is Chris Carlson, and in this video, I want to talk about the concept of your prospect changing banks from their current provider over to you. Research tells us that the typical business owner, CEO, practitioner changes banks every 5 to 7 years. Obviously, there are businesses that change sooner, and many of them stay with a bank for 20 plus more years. But that's the average, 5 to 7 years. I have a couple of reasons why I think that a business stays with a bank for that long. Number one, I think banks typically do a pretty good job of taking care of current customers. It's so hard to get a customer, so they want to make sure that they keep it. And then number two, let's face it, it's a pain in the butt for a business or a company or a practitioner to change banks. There's a lot that goes into it, and they really don't want to do it. And we have to remember the age-old expression, the pain of the problem has to be greater than the pain of the solution. So if that business owner remembers how difficult it was in the past to change banks, and or his or her staff tells them what a pain it was, they're very reluctant to make that move. When you're targeting your prospects, they typically fall into one of three categories. Number one, they're not going to move regardless. They're so incredibly loyal to their current banker or their current bank. At the opposite end of the spectrum, you have those prospects that are fed up with their bank, they're ready to move. Then you got the group in the middle, which is, they're not really overly satisfied, but they're not totally dissatisfied. And if you break it down to percentages, about 10% of the prospects that you're pursuing are totally in love with their bank. They're not going to make a move. At the other end, about 10% are really ticked off. They're ready to make a move, which means that 80% of the prospects that you're targeting, are somewhat loyal to their current bank. Now, what do you need to do with all this information? First of all, you need to make sure you're continually marketing, because eventually the attitudes are going to change. The ones that are in that middle group are going to fall into that dissatisfied group. So are you marketing to them on a continual basis? Are you adding value that makes them say, wow, that's a banker that I need to stay close to? Now think about what happens if you don't continually market to those prospects and they switch banks because you've taken a gap in your communication with them. That means that on average, you have another 5 to 7 years before you're going to have the opportunity. So what do we need to take away from this particularly short video? Number one is that the overwhelming majority of the prospects that you're pursuing are not really thinking about changing banks. You have to provide a compelling reason why they should be thinking about changing banks. And the way to do that is to continually add value, to continually show them how different you are than their current bank. And look, there's no formula for success that says after the third meeting, they're going to change. Some people are going to change sooner. Some people, it's going to take weeks, months, sometimes years before they make a change. But what I want you to think about from this video is always look for ways to add value. You need to be the banker that every other banker out there is compared to. And then once the current bank stubs their toe and you've added all that value over the weeks, months, or years, now you're in a position to get them to move over to your bank. I hope that helps. We'll look forward to seeing you on the next video.